Hello, this is a video explaining how to use the CAPA online homework system, specifically for the class ASTR 100, or 110, Stars and Galaxies. CAPA is an acronym short for Computer Assisted Personalized Approach, and it was developed at Michigan State University. But we host it here on campus, and it is free to use and has a lot of flexibility for me. But it's got some quirks, so let's go over them. Specifically, how do you access your homework? The first thing you have to do every week when you go to download your homework set, oh, by the way, this particular week, the first week of the semester, there are 0 homework assignments due, but next week there are 2 homework assignments due. The first one is a sort of practice using CAPA set, and it will be due Tuesday. And the second one covers the material from the first week of the class, and we do Thursday. All homework assignments there on out will pretty much be due on Thursday evenings unless there's an exam that week. And the due dates are always sort of at midnight on that evening. So the first thing to do is click on the download your homework set. This will take you to a link that shows you all of the classes on campus that are using this particular homework system this semester. But we are in ASTR 110, so you click on that link. You see there's 2 sets currently posted, sets 1 and 2. Click on the set 1 link to start. And in this page, there are links to PDF documents for every single person in the class. If you don't see yours, it's because you added it after I set this up. And either send me an email and I can set one up for you, or wait and I will eventually get it posted. So I'm going to show you mine. I have mine at the bottom, so I can follow along and also test things out. So this is what the first assignment looks like. This is an introduction to CAPA. There are for this first homework set, you will have 10 tries to complete every question. After that, we'll break it down probably to 5 or so attempts you'll have at every question to get it right. Getting a question wrong the first, second time, third time doesn't cost you anything. As long as you eventually get it right, you'll get full credit for the problem. But these PDFs are a nice give a nice formatted way to read the problems. You can read the problems also on the web page, but often, especially when you have a case, for instance, where there's a matching or some other formatting issues, sometimes it can be hard to read on the web version, but it should be always easy to read and nicely formatted on this PDF version. Anyway, the reason why you'll have to download this every week is because this CAPA ID is going to be how you're going to log in to CAPA for that particular week. For every assignment, you will have a unique 4-digit code that will get you, along with your G number, into the assignment for that week. So mine for the intro assignment is 9627. So once you have it, you can download this, of course, as a PDF. You can save it, you can print it out, you can write on it, you can do whatever you want. But this is not where you enter your answers. Where is it that you enter your answers? Well, enter your answers, you have to go all the way back to the beginning, kappa.genesee.edu, and then click on the Go to CAPA and enter your homework solutions link. And now this will bring up this page. You have to pick the class from the drop-down menu. Fortunately, this being an ASTR 110 class, we are first alphabetically, which is nice. So it should be that every time you bring this page up, our information is at the top, and you shouldn't have to ever mess with this. But just beware, if it isn't working, make sure that the A110 S21 selection the class is selected at the top. So here's where you have to put in your G number. I'll put in your G number, whatever your G number is, you should put that there with the G00 here at the beginning. This will be G00 and then your 6-digit number. Put in your G number, and this in the CAPA ID is where you put in your 4-digit code from that week's set. In my case, it was 9627. So I'm going to type in 9627, and I'm going to click on the click here to work on CAPA link. That brings me to this page where there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different options. Almost always, you're going to click on the try current set. If you want to view the previous set is for, let's say you're working on homework 4, or you logged in using the CAPA ID for homework 4, you can actually view, let's say you got an answer wrong on a previous set. Those answers, the correct answer for that question will be posted after the fact. And so if you want to go back and see what a previous question was that you might have gotten wrong on a previous set, you can click, let's say, you can click on, put in another set here number, let's say 1, and then view previous set, and you'll be able to see those answers. But for now, we are interested in try current set. So I'm going to click on the try current set button. And this is the entry space where you can actually go ahead and enter your answers for CAPA. It's all exactly the same questions as are on your PDF document, but you can see they're formatted a little bit differently sometimes. Okay, so let's go through these one at a time and sort of show you how this works. These are actually links to all the problems. If you're at the top and you want to go straight to question 16, you can click on this and it will bring you straight to question 16. Let's just try one of these. The first 3 are just, let's practice entering numerical answers into an answer box. So, one, right, so these questions are all sort of linked. Often there's a line that separates the linked questions, and often when you have questions that are linked, they will use the same information. For instance, A being one number and B being another one. And all of them are using A and B in this particular way. So these lines are your sort of indication that you're starting a new question set. It won't always be the case, but sometimes multiple questions will be linked in this particular way. So I've got 2 numbers, A and B. This is randomized so that everybody has a different value. Mine are 25.4 and 31.7. And it wants to know what the answer is. What is A plus B? You can see other things I've put in these boxes before. But let's put in a wrong answer and see what happens. Let's say I know that the answer is not 10. Let's just put in 10 and see what happens. I'm going to click Submit All Answers. By the way, Submit All Answers really is Submit All Answers. If I had a 10 in this box and a 9 in this box, it's going to submit every single answer for which there is something in this box. This can be problematic because sometimes you'll have a space in a box and you won't even realize that you have put in something into that box. But Submit All Answers is everything that has something in it will be submitted. So be careful with that. I advise you to just do these one at a time. Do not try to figure them all out and put all the answers in and submit all answers all at the same time. Do them one at a time. So let's do number 1 now. I know that this is the wrong answer, but it hasn't actually marked it as wrong. So I got a code up here, and that code is a capital S. And capital S is a warning that says I have not put in enough significant figures. I provided a single significant figure. 10, since the 0 is not significant after the 1, has a single significant figure. Almost always for the problems in this class, you will be asked to provide 3 significant figures at least. And so 10 is not 3 significant figures, and so it has given us a warning. It has not, you'll notice, actually evaluated whether 10 is right or wrong. It doesn't, it knows, but it's not telling you whether 10 is right or wrong. It hasn't docked you a try. You still have used 0 tries out of the possible 10 for this particular problem. So let's try something else. 10 point. The decimal point now indicates that both the 1 and the 0 are significant. But in fact, you'll see that this S, that didn't help. I provided 2 significant figures that time, but it needs 3. So if I really want to answer 10, even if it's an integer, I have to put 10.0. So when it gives you this S, just know that you need to provide more significant figures. If you know that the answer is 10 and that's it, sometimes you'll have to put a decimal and another 0. This now has 3 significant figures. The 2 before the decimal and the 1 after the decimal is automatically counted as significant. So if I submit all answers now, it should evaluate it. And it has, in fact, evaluated it. And it's told me significant figures is no longer a problem, but that this is not the right answer. This N indicates that I have tried the question and I have not gotten it right yet. And now it's telling me that that answer was incorrect, and I have 9 more attempts left. I've used 1 of my 10 tries. Now you'll notice that one of the disadvantages of this system compared to some other fancy online homework systems is that this one is not going to give you all of the answers you've submitted. So let's say you're working on this on a Sunday evening and you try a couple things and they're both wrong, and you come back on Tuesday and you want to try it again. You may not remember which answers you've actually put in. This is important. Keep track of, have a log notebook, have a Google Docs file, whatever you want to do, but be organized. Every time you answer a question, especially if you get it wrong, record what that answer was. If you use 4 tries on the same answer, I'm not going to be very understanding because you just have wasted those chances, even if you think that's the right answer. These questions have all been gone through multiple iterations of students, so I'm pretty sure they're all correctly coded at this point. So the 10 isn't the right answer, but keep track of that. So let's try to put in what the right answer is. Let's see if I can do this in my head. 25 plus 31 is 56 plus 1.1. I think this is 57.1. You can do this on a calculator if you want to. Hopefully I got that right. I'm going to click submit, and yes, that was in fact what the computer got, 57.1, and it's now giving me a yes here. And I am now done with that problem. You can no longer, you have gotten credit for this problem. By the way, there's no at the end, once you get all Y's up here, you're done. There's no submit at the end. You can just walk away. As soon as there's a Y here, you have credit for that question. So now we can do A minus B. This is going to be a negative number. I'm going to put in something that's wrong, and you'll see that that's wrong. It tells you what your last answer was, but even that will go away if you come back in a couple of days. So you can play around with, experiment, see what happens, see if you can figure out, these are easy problems. You can experiment with different things and see what works and what doesn't work for you. There are hints. You can play with that here. Now, scientific notation. There will be lots of times in this class where you're using very large or very small numbers, and you're going to need to have a way to put those numbers in. You're not going to want to put in an 8-digit number here. So let's say that I want to put in the number, how many meters are in 1 kilometer. I know that's 1,000, but I can also do 1e3. So 1, I'm going to need to put some significant figures here. The E says means times 10 to the. So 1 times 10 to the 3 is 1 times 10 to the 3 is actually 1,000. So this should be the right answer. I could put in 1,000, that would be right, although I'm going to have to put a decimal point to make these zeros significant. Or I can put in 1.00 E3. And that should be right. That is in fact right. So E can give you large numbers, and it can also give you small numbers if you use a negative exponent. So you can experiment with that as well. Square root of some large number. Right, so this is just experimenting with scientific notation and making sure you understand the scientific notation. Notice that this computer gets, so let's say you had, this is not true for this particular case, but let's say you had problem 5 dependent on the answer for problem 4, which happens sometimes. Even if you got, sometimes you will, let's say you could put in 998 for this, and it will probably count it as right. As long as you're within 1%, then the computer will accept that answer as correct. But it's going to tell you what it calculated for that particular number. You should use this number and not the number you got in calculating future problems, because even though you're off by less than 1% for this one, future mistakes could compound that to be more than 1%, or future rounding errors or whatever could compound that. So when you have a problem that counts on the value from the previous problem, use the value that the computer gets and not necessarily the value that you got. Okay, there are certain answers where you have to put in both answers at the same time. If I just put in one, it's going to yell at you and say not all the answers submitted. You need to put a number in both of these before it will accept it, and now it's going to tell me that's wrong. Now, this is another error that CAPA can give you, and this is a lowercase u, and that says that there's a units problem. And in fact, this is a case where units are required. So to enter units for CAPA, I can do 3.00, for instance, and then I need to put in seconds and milliseconds. So I could put in seconds. So I need to answer, 6.8 milliseconds twice. I'm going to put in the wrong answer. Well, I'll put in the right answer, 6.8. I know a milli is 10 to the minus 3, so I can just put in 6.8 e minus 3 seconds. And I know that the unit of seconds is just an s. So e negative 3 says it's 6.8 times 10 to the negative 3. And the space, you need a space between the number and the unit. The unit tells it as the number is seconds. And I can also put this in as milliseconds. So I can just put in 6.8. ms is the shortcut for milliseconds. I should be able to submit that. And it's now giving me another error, which is that I forgot my significant fidgets. I need 6.80 e negative 3 seconds, and I need 6.80 milliseconds. This gets annoying after a while, but you'll get used to it. You just have to have 3 significant figures on every problem. And that is, in fact, correct. It is labeled that as correct. So sometimes the lowercase u says it needs a unit and you didn't put one in there. If the uppercase unit, if you have an uppercase unit, let's do 5.6 seconds and 5.6 seconds. This is looking for a unit of distance, centimeters or meters or whatever. I've put in a unit of time here, and it's going to say, hey, you put in the wrong unit. You put in a unit, the capital U says you put in a unit, but it was the wrong unit. CAPA was expecting a unit of distance, and you put in a unit of time. Again, with both the lowercase and uppercase u, it has not docked you a try for this. You still have 10 tries left. It has also not evaluated whether these numbers are correct, because it cannot evaluate whether those numbers are correct, because this unit makes no sense to it. So just be aware that these codes sometimes come up. Lowercase u is it's expecting units and you didn't put it in. Uppercase u is you put in units, but they were the wrong units or the wrong unit type. Okay, there are some cases where you will be putting in lists of things that are correct. The only thing I'm going to say about this, in this case, you want all of the accurate statements about science below, and it asks you for all of them. I will say, it doesn't often say this, but it almost always is true, that it needs them in alphabetical order. So for instance, if the correct answers were A, C, and D, A, C, D would be right, but A, D, C, or D, C, A would not be right. So just be aware that whenever you're asked for these letters, and now put them in alphabetical order, and you should be fine. So there are some math skills diagnostic questions that you can make sure you understand how scientific notation works. Make sure how you know how to use your calculator. Make sure you can do some simple unit conversion problems. Make sure you understand the metric prefixes. We're not going to use all of the metric prefixes, but these are the ones I'm going to expect you to know. Nano is 10 to the minus 9, cent is 10 to the minus 2, and all of these are the ones that we will be using, some more often than others in this particular class. And finally, there's a simple algebra problem here at the end. Not so simple. There's an algebra problem that will sort of test you on what your algebra skills are. We have the volume of a sphere formula here, 4/3 pi r cubed. I give you a volume and ask you to solve for the radius. So have fun with that one. As always, if you have questions, you can ask me. And good luck with this. A couple of other things I want to show you about the CAPA system, but that should be the logistics and the nuts and bolts of how this CAPA system works. I'm going to exit out of this particular thing. even though that didn't do anything, weirdly. Okay, I'm going to click the back button until I get to the main CAPA page and show you a couple of other resources that might be useful to you. There are instructions for downloading and printing your homework sets. I don't think this is going to be a problem. Basically, go to CAPA, click on download your homework set. But if you're having problems, there's a page here that can walk you through it. If you can't read a PDF file, it will show you how to do it. Instructions for using CAPA. This is basically what I've just gone through. But if you don't want to watch this whole video again and you just have a specific question, this will walk you through logging in. It will walk you through what you're putting in your G number and entering answers and what some of the codes mean as well. And also how to enter scientific notation and things like that. Finally, the most important link down here is the list of acceptable units for CAPA. Let's say you have calculated a quantity and you want to enter it into CAPA, and let's say it's in years, or it's in meters, or it's in inches, or it's in whatever, and you don't know how to enter that unit into CAPA. This page has all of the acceptable units for CAPA. So there are the basics, meters, for length, mass, time. We're not going to use much of these, any of these really, but meters, kilograms, and seconds are the base units. And then after that, all of the other units in CAPA are derived from those base units. For instance, a year is defined as this many days, a pound is defined as this many kilograms, et cetera, et cetera. An astronomical unit will be important for us this year, is a certain number of meters. So if you're not sure how to enter a unit in CAPA, and these are case sensitive, by the way, if you want an astronomical unit, you have to put capital A, capital U. If you want a year, it's lowercase y, and that's it. If you put YR, it's not going to accept it. If you put YEAR, it's not going to accept it. Same with hour. If you want hour, it's not H, it's not HOUR, it's HR, and that's the way to do it. Every single one of these units can also use any of the metric prefixes. So we used centimeters before, and that used the actual unit meters with the centi prefix, which means 10 to the minus 2. So any of these, you could do a centigram or a megaminute or whatever. You can put one of these units, one of these prefixes in front of it, and that means, nano means times 10 to the minus 9. Milli means times 10 to the minus 6. Micro, which is a U and not a mu, means 10 to the minus 6. So that is useful also. I think that's all I need to tell you for the CAPA system. There are 2 homework sets, as I mentioned, available now. Set 2 is again, you'll have a different CAPA ID for this one. This will actually cover the content of the first class or 2 of the semester, which we'll be getting through early next week. And so both of these homeworks will be due the second week of the semester. Homework 1 on Tuesday, and homework 2 due Thursday, February 11th at 23:59 p.m. or 11:59 p.m. Okay, I think that's it. Looking forward to having you work on these problem sets. I'm available for office hours this week and next week if you need me. Other than that, good luck, and let me know if you have questions.